It is my honor to welcome you to today's panel discussion on the importance of innovation to national and regional development in the Caribbean. Now, this conversation comes at a very crucial moment as we work together to chart forward a more resilient, a more inclusive, and a future-ready path for Trinidad and Tobago and our wider Caribbean. Innovation is at the core of our development strategies, and is not just a driver for competitiveness, but a necessity for long-term sustainability and transformation. So please join us as we go into a dialogue that gives us an opportunity to really reflect on what we've learned, why innovation matters, and where we see the future of innovation heading in Trinidad and Tobago. So to permit me to have a seat as well. Okay, so we're going to have a real deep discussion into understanding the role that international development agencies and our foreign partners, how do they play a role in nurturing innovation in our Caribbean region? I'd like that question to be answered, thank you, by Ambassador Peter Cavendish.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I wish to outline that this country already has a balance of trade surplus, of more than 33.5 billion TT dollars in the most recent year for the accounts. And of course, with innovation, we're seeking to encourage that your balance of trade surplus becomes even larger. Europe is economically requiring, we are food insecure, we're energy insecure, and we're insecure in many products. So therefore, to invest in innovation should engender mutually productive exchanges, which is the basis of wealth creation. We are now in the 50th year of relations between Europe and TNT. Given you have this vast trade surplus with us, I think it's beneficial to you beyond any doubt. And any Trinbagonian person can go to Europe without a visa to the Schengen area, which is more than 420 million people, and there are no apart from the no visas for Schengen area, there's no duties and there's no tariffs. Anyway, so the question you specifically asked is, what is the role that we play? I think we cover a number of sectors. There's market access in terms of the institutions like the European Union. We have a single market. In terms of development banks, the European Investment Bank is apparently, the world's oldest investment bank. It's owned by the member states of the European Union. And I think in some ways it has been a very good model. It is a not-for-profit bank. Not only does it make funds available at not-for-profit rates, it can bring in substantial expertise. So in terms of the role, we can significantly drop the risk for young entrepreneurs, men and women, because we can help to provide, in some cases, funds for preliminary studies that takes away a lot of uncertainties. We have access to a vast number of experts who can be brought in to give advice. We have a population of more than 448 million, so really, in essence, there's no type of expertise that, in principle, cannot be supplied for that extra value added, the human capital exchange. I think that the development banks now have themselves innovated, they have evolved. We now have blending. Different development banks work together in an unprecedented way. In addition, the European Union is willing to put grant funds with development bank funds. The European Union itself only gives grants. So we have grants, we have expertise, we have an evolved relationship with other banking actors, including now also the commercial sector. So for those entrepreneurs who are dreaming big, who start and who get traction, we could go a long way together. So I think risk is the main one that we can assist with by reducing it. But there are other ways, once products are established, development actors, we can help people get geographical indicator protection. Legally now, the steel pan in this country is protected by a geographic indicator, and the European Union gave advice on that. We also helped get protection for Trinitario chocolate, and we got protection for red maruga rice. So there's a whole spectrum to reduce the risk, manage the risk, aid the growth, and I really consider this is a very talented nation, and that there are many products, some of whom these winners we have, I also wish to congratulate them. As you very correctly said, Hans-Erik, small spaces, big dreams. Very good phrase. An entrepreneur, an innovator is a dreamer that does, and we're here to enable them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cavendish. So we want to zone in a bit closer on Trinidad and Tobago and truly understanding why is innovation particularly important for small island developing states like our own, and how can it be leveraged to really diversify and future-proof, if I may say that, our economy. And I'm really presenting that question to Mr. Belgrave.
Good morning. First of all, I really want to acknowledge the approach to having the awardees in the same space so that they actually feel part of this whole session. I think it is really important, and the approach I really want to acknowledge. Really, thanks for the question. It really is a pleasure to be here. When we discuss innovation, we often refer to trying something different or trying something new that really addresses a real problem or addresses or seizes on an opportunity. This solution can be either incremental, which speaks to some type of efficiency gain or some type of a new business model, but it can also be disruptive. Disruptive meaning it really impacts an entire sector or impacts an entire industry. So when we talk about small island development states like Trinidad and Tobago, we're talking about vulnerability to external events. We're talking about small countries or island states that are facing complex sort of economic or development challenges. And they're often relying on one or two sort of main drivers of the economy, whether that's a sector or commodity. So in that scenario, innovation presents a tremendous opportunity for transformative change towards economic growth and development. It is a crucial leverage for improving lives in small island states like Trinidad and Tobago. Innovation can be leveraged to drive economic diversification. I think Deputy PS spoke about the primary focus of Trinidad and Tobago is moving more towards a more diversified economy. I think innovation has a huge role to play in that, in terms of looking at those non-energy sectors like the creative industries, agriculture, etc., as potential. Innovation has a huge role to play in that regard. Innovation can also be a driver of entrepreneurial spirit, developing a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem, which is then a crucial aspect for economic diversification. Furthermore, in the context of generating foreign exchange or enhancing the revenue streams from the non-energy sector, innovation could be an important tool in unlocking global markets and finding niche markets for products that you're producing. I think the other aspect of that, which is related to the whole idea of trade facilitation, is being able to create that enabling environment to attract foreign direct investments, which is also crucial. The second part of the question, how do we leverage innovation to diversify and future-proof economies of small island development states? I think there are a couple of key points that we should consider. Shaping the future of innovation together with partners like the European Union, the government through CARIRI, and the Ministry of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development really encourages support for organizations that are innovating to accelerate their timelines through the provision of financing. I think also it's crucial that leaders in all spheres must encourage and champion innovation. Become the chief experimenter. Create a culture of exploring, experimentation, and sharing to learn, grow, and to improve. I would close by also sort of talking about the importance of being inclusive and collaborative. Don't innovate in silos. Engage people of diverse backgrounds, both inside and outside the organization, to innovate around concrete problems or to take advantage, as I mentioned earlier, of opportunities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Belgrave. So we understood from our foreign partners the need for the risk mitigation, and we're understanding how we can actually leverage innovation and help diversify. But now we are going a bit further to understand how innovation can be inclusive. How can we ensure that it reaches not just tech startups, but how can it also reach the creative sectors, rural communities, and traditional industries? And I'm going to pose that question to Mrs. Denise Ferguson.
Thank you, Andrea. So when we think, or when I think of inclusive innovation, I look at it in two ways. First of all, how can we ensure, as you've said, marginalized, grassroots, women, youths, rural, how do they get involved in innovation? They're innovating every day, but how can they make this innovation into a real asset? But when I think of innovation, I also ask, how can multinationals, how could large organizations, how could government organizations innovate to ensure that their services and their products reach those that are underserved, those that are marginalized? And so I'll answer it in two ways. So firstly, we need to look at education and training, as we will be doing tomorrow in our workshops for our entrepreneurs. So we want to ensure that they have those tools that allow them to be able to innovate. And we're saying entrepreneurs, yes, but I'm looking all the way back to primary school, because we need to have an innovative citizen, yeah, an innovative country. We need to get the community involved. So we may think we know how rural people need to be trained in innovation, but they may need something specific, and so we need to involve them in the development of those programs as well. Further, we need to have access to technology, and I was really happy when I heard the Deputy PS talk about getting into this project where they will be doing AI engineering, because we need to get technology into the hands of those who would not normally have technology in their hands, even the IDB and your tech lab. And having that tech lab open for those who may want to come and use it. CARIRI as well, we also have our lab, our DIA lab and our other labs that they could come to, and our incubators. So the universities, public-private partnership, NGOs, getting together. You just spoke about, we need to do this together. We need to have synergy. We need to have connection so that we're not duplicating efforts, because we are a small island state, so we don't have a whole lot of resources, and we have no resources to waste. So we need to certainly work together. We understand that they need microfinancing. They need funding. Shaping the Future of Innovation did that. A lot of other EU projects does that. A lot of IDB projects is doing that. A lot of other government agencies, NEDCO, Export TT, the Ministry of Trade, Invest TT, they are also doing that. But we need to have consistent and more of that. Of course, we would love to see this project move further, yes, into something that is sustainable, having a focal point. That's something that is reoccurring on a routine basis. How else do we ensure that those individuals who are marginalized, who are rural women, that they get into innovation? We need to ensure that innovation is protected. And so we need to strengthen our IP laws. Organizations as well, they need to have policies about IP. And so I want to move very quickly into how could large organizations, government organizations, how could they ensure that their product and services are inclusive? Coca-Cola in 2010 launched what they call 5 by 20. And they wanted by 2020 to have 5 million women empowered by training, market access, mentorship, to be able to innovate. And by 2020, they had more than 6 million women. So organizations, as Julian just said, look at your flexible business portfolio. How do you use design thinking within your organization? How do you keep all of your staff innovative and engaged to innovate, to ensure that the products and services that we give, things like cancer care or AIDS care, how do we get it in such a way that it reaches marginalized individuals? Yeah? So we look at it like that, and I think each and every one here, if we continue to open our minds, continue to take small steps to be able to innovate, continue to mentor others, each one teaches one, continue to have our business flexible in terms of our structure, continue to coordinate and cooperate, we will be able to ensure that no one is left behind.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ferguson. Ms. Ferguson really pointed out the importance of us really being inclusive, very collaborative, and understanding that education, training, and access to technology is important. And I'm going to pose a question to each of our partners, because of course this was a very collaborative effort between the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the European Union, the Inter-American Development Bank, and of course CARIRI as the implementing partner. But as this project concludes, as we wrap it up, how do we sustain the momentum that we've gained? And what is the vision for the future of innovation in Trinidad and Tobago? So I'm going to start with His Excellency, Mr. Cavendish.
Well, the European Union has 3 objectives for the Caribbean in terms of the future and commerce. We have the digital initiative, we have the green economy, and we have security. So in terms of entrepreneurship and going forward, we really want to dream big. We want regional level projects which can be generated in this country, which can take digitalization forward. We have cabling, superconnectivity cabling arriving from Europe in the Americas and already working. This, we want to connect up educational research networks in Europe, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America, Latin America as it's called. So in terms of digitalization, we're pushing. This country has been excellent in extending digital financial inclusion, aided by our other partners, the UN Capital Development Fund, which brought in local commercial actors. So on the 3 areas for digitalization, this country in the Americas, after the United States and Canada, has the highest level of engineers per head of the population. So it's number 3 in the Americas. So in terms of digitalization, with this bridging the link, bridging the digital link, bringing educational research networks, you know, the dreamers that are doing, the dreamers who are digitalized are going to have a disproportionate role in the future. Aligned with, we have the green economy, where this country has the potential in terms of wind power to be a green hydrogen hub. So there are many other innovators who will arrive behind the area of digitalization and the green economy, including green tourism and these other areas where products can be supplied. And security is a global concern. Entrepreneurs can also innovate in the matter of security, but really let's go back and talk about digitalization and the green economy, where this country has a very strong track record. It has track records in other areas, but I just focus on these ones. And I really think that, you know, the educational system in the Caribbean, University of the West Indies, independently ranked as being in the top 1% of universities worldwide, independently ranked. UTT, again with the Maritime Technology Coordination Center, one of 5 leading centers for maritime cooperation worldwide, independently considered. The country has a huge track record of succeeding, and if there's any element of the culture, we have to encourage more and more innovators and entrepreneurs, but we have to also be very constructive when businesses fail, because a lot of entrepreneurs who have succeeded today, you can name very big name people, have had to overcome obstacles where some of their businesses did not succeed. So we have to embrace success, but we have to also value those people who have obstacles and who need to get out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Belgrave?
I wouldn't repeat everything that Peter just mentioned because I think he's spot on, but what I would add though from an IDB and IDB lab perspective is really looking for scaling up opportunities, finding areas where maybe some of these awardees can work more closely together, because maybe there are opportunities in there for scale up. But I also want to switch a little bit, because whenever we think of innovation, we primarily focus on innovation from the perspective of the private sector, SMEs, etc. But I think in the I think for the future of Trinidad and Tobago, that the public sector also has to be part of this innovative effort as well. I mean, for the last 8 years or so, the IDB has been supporting, under the patronage of Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Praise Awards, which is designed to recognize innovation or innovative spirit in the public sector. And we think that these type of overtures are crucial. I don't think that you will have this sort of sustainability in culturing innovation in Trinidad and Tobago without the public sector being embedded in this whole view of innovation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Belgrave. And Mrs. Ferguson, final perspective on moving forward.
So certainly moving forward, as my colleagues have indicated, we need to have public-private sector play a role, NGOs, the developmental agencies. But as you rightfully said, we also need to have what we consider a focal point for innovation. One of the things that we've noticed is that when we look at the collection and reporting of innovation data, we have a challenge. And we have a challenge because it's not a coordinated effort. It's being collected in various spaces by various other people. And so having a focal point to be able to do that could allow Trinidad and Tobago to increase their profile on the world market with respect to how we record innovation, how we look, because we know we're seeing this room, we're seeing everyone. But if we cannot record that, so one of the things I wanted to say earlier was that we need to show the success stories of innovation. We need to report it. We need, if I can see that other people are doing it, then I believe that I can do it too. And the more we show, not just success stories, but stories of failure as well, because we need to learn from failure, then we are able to do that. And so we need this coordinating body. And so that is where I'd like to see, of course, CARIRI continuing to work with the partners and with other partners as well, supported by the Ministry of Planning, to continue efforts like this, to engage new entrepreneurs, to help new innovators, new ideators, to help the present innovators and ideators, both small, large, and medium, to be able to connect in Europe, Africa, Latin America is right there, to be able to scale their businesses and to be able to, of course, continue innovating in a varying set of types of innovation, from deep tech all the way back to the creative sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ferguson. I think we can all agree that we can really have some sincere thanks to our panelists for their insightful contributions today in understanding innovation and the way forward. I think it is really impressed upon the support that is necessary, the digitalization, the involvement of the public sector, and of course having that focal point with the data available and reported. So as we move forward, I would like us to continue to strengthen the partnerships that we have developed working together. We need to have the interdevelopment agencies, the private sector, the public sector, and of course all of us in society to ensure that innovation is not only embedded in policies, but in our everyday lives. Thank you everyone for this panel discussion, and I do hope and congratulations to all of our grant recipients.